Mystic Path to Cosmic Power by Vernon Howard. Chapter 14. How to Smash Barriers and Speed Ahead. People don't fail in their cosmic quest because they lack intelligence. The reason for failure can be illustrated by a case. A man living in an uncomfortable hut is told he has inherited a mansion, but if he refuses to leave his hut, he cannot occupy his new home. He may insist on a guarantee that the mansion actually exists, but his only guarantee is to see and occupy the mansion for himself. Cosmic growth requires that we first leave the old. We cannot occupy two places at the same time. Obviously, to get there, we must first leave here. This means we must take the first step, abandoning our habitual ways of thinking in order to make room for the new and powerful. To fly in an airplane above the storm, we must first leave the ground. Growth comes by daring to risk more of the unknown than we are willing to risk. Dare it, venture it, and grow. Declare, "My known ways of thinking have brought me nothing but failure, so why cling to them? I dare to gradually detach myself from the old and the unworkable. Forget the difficulties and confusions and disappointments, for they are unimportant. Remember the only vital thing, the direction in which you are heading. Confidently abandon yourself to higher truths. Here is a heroic act. What does it mean to confidently abandon yourself to something? It means you are completely unconcerned toward that something, that you don't even think about its reliability, just as a child abandons his welfare to his father. Try it. Totally abandon yourself to higher truths. There is no point in compromising. Compromise is a subtle thief of inner abundance. A spiritual principle is either true or it isn't. So go all out. Be different from the millions of people described by Henry David Thoreau as leading lives of quiet desperation. Dare to test things for yourself. It is a heroic business to personally experience a reality as a reality. Take no thought for tomorrow. Confidently abandon yourself to that. You can have everything you really need. Rest assured that you can. Strain and struggle are unnecessary. Live with it wholeheartedly. Total security comes to the enlightened man. Dare to prove it. You have inner wisdom for perfect guidance. Stand on that principle. Factual knowledge of cosmic principles is not enough. We must permit them to change old life for new. The merely educated man knows the facts. The enlightened man lives them. The world has plenty of education. Enlightenment is the sad lack. Dare to think for yourself. Everything depends upon how badly we want to escape our binding chains. We must have a determined intention to crash through the ill fictions that bar us from healing facts. We build strength for this by constantly plunging into psychological waters over our heads. We must meet, ponder, understand, and finally, live advanced truths. That is what we now do. There is a particular timidity that every seeker must meet and conquer. It is expressed, "But if I abandon my old ways, what will become of me?" Do not be afraid of what will become of you. Never mind the loss of your present ways. You may not see it as yet, but what will become of you is everything good and wonderful. Do not be afraid. Truth does not give us more than we can bear for the moment. It is gentle and patient. It allows us to rest on one level before urging us on to the next. Great progress comes from the simple practice of breaking through the habitual self. The next time you find yourself self-absorbed, abruptly break this hypnotic state by deliberately turning your awareness to an outside object, perhaps a painting on the wall or a tree bending in the wind. Notice the vast difference between the two states. In self-absorption, nothing exists to you except that state. Therefore, it is limited, hypnotic. But by directing your attention outward, you go beyond the cramped mind into a state of exterior awareness. Practice this from time to time. It turns you from a self-shackled person into a free and conscious individual. To wake up is everything. It is all very simple. We can live in ego-centered hypnosis with all its fierce competition and hounding anxiety, or we can extinguish the ego self and live peacefully. First, we must become as consciously aware as possible of our inner distress. Then we can attribute it to ego-centered living. Finally, we can work with life-liberating truths, such as the need for mental integrity. Don't compromise with your own intelligence by asking other people what to do. They don't know any more than you. I could not believe that I ought for a single moment to be satisfied with the opinions of another. René Descartes. Dare to make up your mind about puzzling matters, even if you make a mistake. It is necessary to exercise your own mind if you are ever to reduce and abolish mistakes. Don't let other people make mistakes for you. Have the courage to make your own. A small tree cannot grow to full height when sheltered by a large tree. You must first learn to think for yourself. When reaching a certain elevation on the mystic path, you are relieved of all responsibility for thinking for yourself. Your life is thought for you. It is like wisely investing your money in a prosperous firm, after which you let dividends accrue effortlessly. Remember this simple rule. Anything you win with strain and struggle is shaky and impermanent. You will fear losing it. Notice how people worry over their prestige and money and friends. There is a superior way. There is a struggle-less victory with rewards that you can never lose. They appear when we operate from the cosmic level, not the human. Many people start down the mystic path to cosmic power by facing their own doubts about spiritual truths. It is either true that you need take no thought for tomorrow, or it isn't. If you think it isn't, you must courageously face your own doubts and plunge on from there. If it is true, which it is, and I know it is, then you will eventually experience the liberating fact that you need take no thought for tomorrow. I sense something magical in all this, but I'm afraid I still live in daydreams. Daydreams take the place of actual happenings, when a desire exceeds what we think we can get. I want genuine magic. It exists, but discovery can come only when we first abandon beliefs in false magic. What is false magic? Looking for quick thrills and passing sensations. Arousing your emotions gives the illusion of life, but it soon vanishes, leaving you empty. It is like borrowing money. Sooner or later you must give it up, and what a dreadful rate of interest. You just can't afford it. I always come back to the question of what I should do to break through. Is there some simple rule to remember? Say yes to whatever aids self-discovery. Say no to whatever hinders it. The mystic path winds upward, like a mountain road, with many tunnels of various lengths. The traveler passes through the darkness of each tunnel to find himself on a higher level than before. Each tunnel represents a fresh crisis, which must be daringly met. A man must not stand hesitantly at the mouth of a new tunnel and rationalize his reluctance by pretending that he is already on the other side. In spite of all contrary feelings, he must plunge into its unknown darkness and walk ahead until he comes out, as he always will, on the other side, a finer, happier, more purified human being. What are these tunnels that the mystics urge us to pass through? Generally, they are anything stemming from our false self. Specifically, they are made up of prides, vanities, angers, envies, all negativities. Constantly ask yourself, what level is above this one? This makes things different. Take personal problems, for example. Problems are not solved by choosing between this and that. The very need to choose indicates misunderstanding. Problems are solved by outgrowing both this and that. Buddha compared the world of men to a lotus pond. Some of the lotuses are deep in the water, others struggle to break the surface, while more are above, untouched by the pond. Every man and woman is at a different level of development, but all can grow upward. The one sure way to bliss. How to grow. Suppose you look out your window during a storm to see your neighbor rush from his home with some firewood and matches. To your amazement, he starts a fire, then miserably huddles over it in an attempt at warmth. You shout, "What are you doing?" He shivers and calls back, "Trying to keep warm. Can't you see the storm?" You reply, "Don't be foolish. Forget the storm. Just warm the interior of your home and stay there." A neighbor would never behave like that in a real storm, but that is exactly what millions of men and women do when attacked by a psychological storm. One of the most widely known of all esoteric truths is that inward rightness corrects a man's exterior affairs. There is no sense trying to battle the exterior storm itself, for it is but an effect. When we are right within, things are right without. So there is but one place to remain and work, within our own system of conditionings, desires, impulses, imaginations. There is where we can work with endless profit. When will I stop paying the price for my false ideas? When you get totally tired of paying. If you are living a second-rate life, it is only because you falsely assume it is the best you can do. You are somewhat tired of it, but you are still afraid to extinguish your wrong ideas, because you fear there is nothing else beyond them. There is, but you must dare to lose the old before finding the new. This is mystical law. Only an empty cup can be filled. Why don't weary people like myself break through? It is not enough to feel weary of your life. Everyone feels that to one degree or another. You must take the initiative in breaking free. This does not mean to change your work or residence or anything else in your exterior world. It means taking a long and good look at your mental attitudes until you see them as the causes of your effects. As they change, your exterior world will be as different as if you had moved to Mars. Yes, become utterly weary. Remain in that state until you see it completely. Do not cover it up with excitements or pretenses. That is like thinking that the bandage eliminates the wound. Simply become aware of how unhappy you are. Do not try to hide it. Your very awareness is the magic potion that changes weariness to bliss. You say you want a magical change in the way you live? This is it. I assure you that it is the one way and the sure way. Perhaps you ask, how fast can I change things? The answer is, just as fast as you let your life be guided by mystical principles. People gamble to better themselves by switching things in their exterior world. When done without understanding mystical laws, they always lose, even if they think they win. When done with insight, they always win, even though on the surface they appear to lose. You cannot better yourself by getting something different on the outside for the simple reason that you are not a new career or another spouse or a different automobile. Start today with this change. When faced with a difficulty, do not ask, "What should I do?" but rather, "What must I understand?" Unhappiness exists only in the mind. Every man is struggling for something, but does not know what that something is. He even assumes mistakenly that he is struggling against something, perhaps human injustice or unlucky breaks. But beneath surface appearances, he is truly on a positive pursuit of his natural values of love, dignity, nobility. He makes a great mistake in thinking he can regain these natural rights by attachment to and pleading with exterior attractions. Failing to perceive his kingdom of heaven within, he vainly seeks it in outer attractions. He is like a prosperous farmer standing by his wheat fields, asking strangers for grain. To make correction, here is a mighty mystical secret to ponder and practice. Learn to say silently to people and objects that attract you, "No, I will not give you power over me." Do not shield yourself from the everyday events of life that you think are a threat to you. I refer to such things as contact with an unpleasant person, or getting hurt when something turns out differently from what you wanted. Enter fully into the vastness of life, letting everything happen, while you quietly stand aside as a tranquil observer. Do not live like a tightly sealed bottle of water tossed into the sea. Such isolation is fear and torment. Smash the bottle, mix with the sea, and you will know the oneness and immensity of life. When you welcome a change, you call it variety and enjoy it. When you resist a change, you call it tragedy and suffer pain. Don't you see that it is your calling, your labeling, and not change itself that makes the difference between joy and pain? Don't label changes. Call them neither good nor bad. Do not inject into them your personal attitudes and automatic feelings. Let them alone, let them be, and they will let you alone to be at peace. A chief problem confronting the sincere seeker is his inability to separate right ideas from wrong, to practice workable techniques instead of useless ones, to do what he can actually do instead of attempting something which is yet beyond him. How can he meet this? He can start with a single, clear idea and gradually connect it with everything else. It is much like a lost hunter who heads for a distant but clearly observed farmhouse. For instance, you must stop being a slave to your physical defects and to your age. Stop it, and stop it right now. You have already paid a dreadful price. Any unhappiness you have toward them exists only in your mind. Rebel against your own false ideas that your years or your physical construction have anything to do with your happiness. They haven't a thing, if only you see it, if only you cease your unconscious bondage. A valuable technique for awareness. What do you mean by unconscious bondage? For example, people feel unwanted, unappreciated. They yearn for others to come to them with surprises, gifts, phone calls, letters. They find great delight in unexpected pleasantries. But this is unconscious bondage. It keeps them anxious and frustrated. Awareness could free them. With all the pain caused by such negative emotions, why do we cling to them so stubbornly? I know people who actually enjoy depression. They can hardly wait to tell you all about it. Yes, it is a strange feature of human nature that people harmfully love negativity. It gives one a false sense of aliveness, of vitality. Take hatred. Although it bums up the hateful one, he gets a perverse pleasure from it. This proves that all self-harm is unconscious. That is, a man doesn't see what he is doing to himself. No one consciously hurts himself. This is why the goal of your life should be more consciousness. But we are also attracted to positive feelings, like gentleness. True, a man's better self wants them, but is usually smothered by his accumulated negativities. As he works, his desire for the harmful goes down, and attraction to the good goes up, like elevators passing in opposite directions. We have covered self-awareness so much in these pages that it is good to review. Let's take the simple instance of exterior awareness. As you finish reading this line, become aware of the expression on your face. Is it tense, relaxed, sad, curious, just what? Take a mental look and see. What are your facial expressions when you chat with the family, as you go about your work? Try to be conscious of what they say, how they change, what inner feeling prompts their exterior appearance. Also, alertly but casually watch the expressions of others. You will find it much easier to study theirs than your own. Did that man laugh at the joke mechanically, not because it was funny, but because it was expected of him? Did that woman tighten up defensively to a criticism? Just notice the passing drama. This is an excellent start for developing intuitive understanding of your moods and actions. It awakens you. You can then plunge deeper and deeper into your self-structure until you finally become the person you want to be, someone who knows what it is all about. Everything counts for gain when we are cosmically awake. Nothing counts unless we are awake. No enjoyments last, no successes satisfy, no gains have meaning unless accomplished in a state of wakefulness. Only that day dawns to which we are awake. Henry David Thoreau. If you would spend each possible minute and every spark of energy to become aware of what it means to be an awakened human being, you could wave a magic wand over your day. But do not think you must immediately grasp the full nature of this richer life. Do not let the gap between where you are and where you want to be discourage you. All you need is the desire to go on. You need nothing but a sincere desire. forget all else and walk ahead. How to get right results. Look at the calendar on the wall. Notice the date. This is the date you possess the understanding you need. Today. But you must bring them close. Suppose the conductor of a symphony orchestra tried to direct his musicians while standing at the back of the auditorium. Having no control at that distance, the musicians would not know what to do. Each would play different compositions at various tempos, producing discord. But as the conductor comes increasingly closer to his proper position, the musicians see what is expected of them. Disharmony disappears. The musicians are your embedded understandings and insights. As you take your proper position before them, they follow your slightest command, producing the music you want to live by. We might as well turn into stones if we are not going to do this. That is right. We might as well be as senseless as stones if we are not going to feel as free as a lilting melody. Take the power of making demands. The power of demand is dynamic in the human system. Rightly used, it liberates. Wrongly used, it imprisons. Cease making demands upon anyone or anything exterior to yourself. Such demands are always accompanied by fear and pain, which makes them wrong for you. Have you noticed how unhappy you are when demanding something? Do not think this will deny you what you need. Quite the opposite. By eliminating artificial needs, it makes room for genuine ones. Do not think you will be unhappy if you do not get what you demand. Think very deeply for a moment. Demanding things from the exterior world is an endlessly agonizing process. Even when you get what you want, you are really no happier than before. You have merely covered up your anxiety for a few minutes, and then you are tossed right back into the pain of the next demand. If you want opposite results from what you have been getting, take the opposite course. Turn all demands inward. Demand your own power. Insist that your mind work for you, not against you. Demand that you stop being so afraid. Command your habits to be what you wish. Demand constant and sincere work toward your own deliverance. Anyone can make loud demands upon people and government and society. If you don't want to be just anyone, ponder these ideas. The world desperately needs bold individuals who connect their understanding with their powers. By boldness, I don't mean public arrogance and loud talk, springing from cunning egotism. We need men and women who are not afraid to be themselves, who bravely battle for inner conquest, those with a glimpse of the new life which impels them to turn their backs on shadows and their faces to substance. When you attain a degree of self-transformation, you need not tell others about it. If you really have, they will know. You spontaneously send out radiations which they intuitively sense. The light in them responds to the light in you. Neither you nor they need have any connections with exterior or man-made forms of religion or education. It is all a matter of inner essence. India's enlightened teacher, Sri Ramakrishna, likened it to the way a lotus blossom attracts bees. Because the honey is there, the bees fly to it. In this higher state, you can help others in the only way that counts, not merely by doing something for them, but by being someone who truly understands. To see how this is, so we can recall a previous point. Through self-work, the mystic has found his own way home, and so can aid others. It is as if he stands on top of a high hill and looks down on the prairie where a confused humanity wanders about. Knowing where the path starts, he calls down. But how many do you suppose will look up and listen? The beauty of disillusionment. To be disillusioned is a wonderful state to achieve, a marvelous breakthrough into sunlight. Do not think of disillusion as a sad thing. We think this state is terrible. We are mistaken. It is there that we find peace, liberty. François Fenelon. Disillusionment with yourself must precede enlightenment. If you are disillusioned, I am very glad for you, for now there are great possibilities. Do you feel that nothing you know can fulfill you? Great. You are preparing a psychic emptiness, which can be filled with something making sense at last. You are ready to leap from the frustrating known to the emancipating unknown, magnificently beyond your present self. Tired of trying to believe in something? Good for you. You can now let something believe in you. It is especially splendid to get disillusioned with people, most of all, your best friends. No, not in cynicism and bitterness, for these are still prison cells consisting of your own defensive attitudes. You don't want emotion-charged attitudes toward lost people. You want clear discernment of their lost state. In such clarity, there is total calmness and command. There is something quite fascinating, I assure you, in being so disillusioned toward others that you are left without a single friend or counselor or authority to lean upon. Your very awareness of the inability of others to help you forces you to look, at last, toward your only genuine source of strength, the kingdom within. It is as if a weary wanderer, refused lodging, turns to leave, and in so doing, sights his inherited castle. The whole idea is to see ourselves and others as we presently are, for upon the ruins of our disillusionment, we build a castle we can actually occupy. You build swiftly when you make these insights of French philosopher La Rochefoucauld your own. We assume the look and appearance we want to be known for, so that the entire world is a mass of masks. We offer praise only that we may benefit from it. Only strong natures can be sweet ones. Those that appear sweet are usually only weak and may easily turn sour. It is severely damaging for anyone to pretend possession of a virtue which, in fact, he possesses only in imagination. If a person thinks he is already loving, he cannot go on to find the genuine article. Not only that, but if we think we have bread in the cupboard, when in fact we don't, we will be hungry when we need bread. Such imagination is a dangerous foe of freedom, and far more difficult to detect than one might suppose. Negative imagination is a major cause of human hypnosis. It must be detected and abandoned. Start with honest self-observation. Review the technique for this from Chapter 2. La Rochefoucauld's insight represents a certain stage toward cosmic consciousness. It is one in which you no longer idolize people by attributing qualities and virtues to them which they don't really possess. A person at this stage realizes that his admiration of others is merely a subtle projection of self-admiration. Seeing through himself, he sees through others. This brings great relief, for you are never nervous toward anyone you really understand. Disillusionment is nothing else but seeing the false as false, and is therefore an advanced mental condition. How to reverse your life. People miss the point of daily existence entirely. They assume that life is complicated, when it is really themselves who needlessly make it so. They are like a starving man who won't eat dinner until he first knows the cook's name, whether the bread was baked in a brick or steel oven, and how many times the soup was stirred. Don't ask, does God really exist? Ask, how come I have so many stupid headaches? Don't wonder, does the future hold security or dread for me? Wonder, does it make any sense to be miserable this day? Don't inquire, why can't I find the satisfaction I need? Inquire, why don't I just live without bothering with so many questions? Living from the true self is the great answer. Man is like a tree wanting to push itself to the sky. As it grows upward, the various branches take over to insist that they can reach the top quicker and easier than the trunk. But all they do is drain energy and retard growth. The man who grows surely toward the sky is the one who refuses to go along with such false branches as sensation-seeking and egotistical desires. The true self carries us upward. Here is where genuine self-knowledge enters the picture. Lack of self-knowledge leads to self-defeat. A man decides to better his life in some way. Fine. But since he does not know what his true interests are, he does the wrong or impulsive thing. He ends up even worse than before, because he has now added another burdensome false branch. In turn, that creates an anxiety which impels him to once more shoot off in a wrong direction. He is caught in the frightening vicious circle, which grows smaller around him every year. Genuine self-knowledge reverses the whole process. He sees what is genuinely good for him. He lives more and more from his true self, in which there is self-victory. The man is skyward bound. There is a simple but sure test as to whether or not we are living from truth. To the degree that we are free from conscious and unconscious suffering caused by living from illusion. Millions of people do not use this test to advantage, even though Christ could not have made it plainer. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It is just as simple as that. If I know the truth, I am free of my pains. If I realize that no one can really hurt me, no one hurts me. If I actually see that in spite of a terrified imagination, all is well with my basic self, my imagination loses power to terrify me. To see that we suffer because of blurred vision toward life is no reason for despair. It is cause for a joyful mental leap. Now, knowing what is false, we have made room for what is true. We can have the comfort of knowing the truth when we are willing to go first through its discomfort. Endured self-exposure is the cure. If we are willing to see that we are not living from our true nature, but from an invented self, our very awareness abolishes the painful invented self. We then live in comfort from our true nature. Would you like a grand summary of what you must do? Be true to your own nature. To make swift progress. 1. Don't hesitate to abandon yourself to higher truths. 2. Break through your habitual self. Beyond it is the new world you seek. 3. Trust your own intelligence. 4. Know that victory without struggle exists. It comes with cosmic consciousness. 5. Say yes to everything that moves you forward, no to whatever blocks progress. 8. Challenge yourself to mount up to higher and higher levels of self-realization. 7. Your progress will be as speedy as you permit guidance by mystical principles. 8. Psychic wakefulness is a magic wand. 9. Be glad for disillusionment. It indicates healthy advancement. 10. Be true to your own nature.